Hello, it's Leontine from Little Lovely Crafts. Today's video is sort of an announcement that I will be doing a Halloween series. I will start in September and I will upload a video each week up until it's Halloween. Today's card is a pivot pop-up card and I used the tiny gift box bats and the Woodland Critter Huggers bat add-on. To save some time, I already die cut the pieces I'm going to need. I die cut the pivot pop-up part twice, but in the end I only used one set. I used the large stitch rectangle stackables a few times because they're gonna be on my front and on the inside of the card. And I'm also going to die cut the mushroom border and the grassy hill from it. I like to measure it, and once I die cut one part, I can put the other die on top to see how high or how low that one should go. I should have die cut the grass a little higher, but in the end I fixed it by cutting a little strip of the mushroom piece. As you can see right here, the mushroom part is sticking out on the bottom, and I'm just gonna use my scissors to trim it off because no one's gonna see it anyway. Now that I have all of the pieces for my front panel, I'm going to do some Distress Oxide inking. I'm using a strange combination, but I used shaded lilac, tumbled glass, chipped sapphire and black soot. I wanted to create a sort of magical, spooky background. And for the added magical effect, I am splattering some liquid stardust mixed with water on there, and I am using a paper towel to take off the excess water, although it is really hot in my craft room right now, so there's almost no water to pick up. I was looking at my mushrooms and I was thinking that the white of the cardstock was too white, so I am trying to find a Distress Oxide that matches a little bit with the mushroom color, and I decided that old paper came closest. And it might even be the first time I'm using this color. I'm using a teeny tiny brush for it because I don't want to smudge it on the entire card accidentally. For my grass, I'm going with evergreen bough, I hope I pronounce it right, and pine needles. I also used what was left on my black brush to put some darker color on the edges. I will also use my liquid stardust mixture on the grassy panel, And once I put it on top of the mushroom panel, I saw that the white of the cardstock was peeking through, so I decided to put some green on the edges. And I also wanted to put it near the mushrooms, but I didn't want to touch the mushrooms. Now I could have used masking tape to tape it off, but I used a small paintbrush instead, and that worked just fine for me. For the tops of the mushroom, I had already die cut a few pieces, and I will color them with purple Distress Oxide inks. I used milled lavender, shaded lilac and wilted violet, and because they're so teeny tiny, I decided to get one of my full stick post-it notes and just stick them on there and use a small brush to get the color on. And it still moves around, but not as much as it would have had I left it on my glass media mat. I will repeat the same process, pretty much identical for the inside of the card, so I'm not going to show you that. I am going to show you how I attached all of those tiny mushroom parts and just basically everything for the front panel. Okay, in the sketch that I made, I had decided that the large bat was going to hold the pivot pop-up and make it seem like his little kids were flying out from there. Unfortunately, that idea did not work, and my gosh, did I have a lot of trouble making this card the way I wanted it to look as I sketched it. So here and there in my video you see a few things that just didn't make it in the end, but I wanted to show you that sometimes you just make a mistake and you have to go with it, and just, yeah, that's part of life, I guess. Like I mentioned earlier, I only need one of those pivot pop-up parts because I thought I was going to do hills on it, but of course the mushroom die is way too short to cover the entire piece, so I decided to just leave it one color and just go with that. So I thought, why not put the mushroom border on the bottom panel of my card? That idea was okay, but I should have made it a little lower because right now it gets in the way of the pivot pop-up mechanism when you close the card. Those large stitch rectangle stackable panels will peek out of the inside of the card a little bit, but once I have everything secured in there, I will just trim it off. I want to try something new because I want the Happy Halloween border die to be like an inlay in the card, and it's a tricky process, I'll give you that. But if you stick to it, you might get it done like I did. I had already taken out that little piece of the O, and then I decided, no, I'm going to leave them in there because it's easier to put them back later. And you see what I mean. Just leave them in there for now. I'm putting the same green Distress Oxide colors on this piece as I did on the front panel. And of course, I am using my liquid Stardust mixture on all of the inked panels. I'm also inking up the Happy Halloween sentiment, but I'm being really careful because I don't want to accidentally rip it or have those die cut parts fall out. I won't be showing you the inking process of the other parts, but I wanted to tell you that for the bottom half of the inside of the card, I'm only using purple colors, and I used the shaded lilac and on the edges a little bit of wilted violet because I wanted to make the sky extend up to the mushrooms. To continue with the purple color, I'm using some Lawn Fawn Sugar Plum cardstock to die cut the sentiment again, and I will use those little die cut parts of my distress colored sentiment so that it matches with the grass. And here comes that tricky part I was telling you about. I first glued the bottom half of the grass onto my card panel, and then I decided where the sentiment should go. I didn't glue the sentiment down yet because I wanted to put the upper half on the paper first, and then all of the letters can just fall into place. Once you finally have that where you want it to be, then you can use those little green circles and ovals to put inside of the letters. And that is why I didn't take them out yet, because you can see I just placed that green sentiment on top of the purple sentiment, pushed down on the piece that I want to insert in the letter, and there you have it. Super easy, and I'm glad I didn't take them out. I glued on the extra pieces of the mushrooms, and I snipped off all of the pieces that are outside of the card. Now I can attach everything to the inside of my card, and I used a tape runner, but I think it is because of the heat in my room, because the tape just wouldn't stick on my panels, they just came off. So you see me putting on tape runner, but later I had to come back with liquid glue. I'm enhancing the score lines with my cut and scoreboard, and then I can just fold it like Kelly Marie showed in the introduction video of the Pivot pop-up card. I'm putting some score tape on the triangles, and I'm going to take the paper off one side. And then I'm going to place it on the card, of course watching through that little hole where the fold is, and then I can attach it. And once that side is done, you can take off the liner paper from the other side, close the card, and your pivot pop-up mechanism should be working. I'm opening and closing the card a few times so the cardstock gets used to the motion that it makes. Once I get the feeling that it works, I can attach my mushroom piece inside of the card. Now you will see me make one of those woodland critter huggers with the bat add-on. I already made one a while ago and I decided to make another one because one goes on the outside of the card and one goes on the inside of the card. A little thing that I like to do is put white gel pen dots in the eyes and then put a little drop of glossy accents on there, and once it fully dries you've got this really cute looking bat. On the cheeks I'm using my Aqua Shimmer Glitter Gloss pen from Nuvo. I want the bat on the front of the card to be holding a piece of cardstock that looks like the pivot pop-up. So I got something with a similar size. I used a little edge trimmer and then I made it the same purple color as I did with the inside of the card. I will set everything off to the side to dry and then I can work on my tiny gift box add-on bats. You might notice I've got a lot of pink triangles cut out. I initially had the idea to place them inside of the ears, but since I am going to have so much trouble gluing down the bats inside the pivot pop-up, I decided to skip that. Thanks to the heat in my room, the ice dried really quickly, so I can move on to the next step. I'm going to attach everything, and here comes the challenge. For my idea to have the bed attached to the pivot pop-up mechanism, that didn't work. It would just stick out and just didn't look good. So what I did is I trimmed off my bed and placed the top on the top of the pivot and his feet on the bottom of the pivot. As for those tiny beds, I needed to find a place where I could score, and I didn't want to come close to the ice, so that was something that I looked for. So a place where I could score without touching the ice. And I had some trouble attaching them. It just didn't work. Because I'm working with really thick cardstock, it's hard to bend. The score lines didn't go through all the way, so I had to just fold whatever I had. And for the mechanism to work properly, I think you should use thinner paper. That will probably work a lot better, but I had to work with this. So what I did was I tried cutting it in half, but then there would be a gap once you open the card, so that didn't work, and one bed was in the bin. So I used another bed and just decided to go with glue dots. For some reason that just seemed to solve it. The bed could stay in position but also move around a little once you open and close the mechanism. So for some reason that just was the solution. And of course, the tape runner didn't work, so I decided to put a glue dot on his wings. I'm using two different sizes of glue dots because of the cardstock behind the bed, and because of the mushrooms there's a bit of height difference. And once I've got it on the front panel, I am going to see if there is anything needed on the inside of the card, and I noticed that one of the wings was unattached, so I put a glue dot there. And I was thinking about maybe putting something in the sky there, but then I decided just to go with the blue and have all the focus on the little bats. And that finishes up my card. Even though it was a huge struggle for me to make, I like how this card turned out. It is cute and I just love making Halloween cards. So I am going to show you my first of the Halloween series in September, and I will place one video each week, and that makes, I think, a total of 9 videos. If you include this one, 10 videos with Halloween cards. While I'm recording this, there's a bit of a thunderstorm going on, but anyway, I finished my card, and if you're still watching, I want to thank you for that. Make sure to watch the end of the video because I've changed it up a little bit. I hope I will see you next time and enjoy the rest of your day. Bye!